What's up, everybody? Welcome to South Beach Strategy. Today we're on location at Sora by the Hotel Collection. Thank you, Benny, for allowing us to use this beautiful space. We're actually in the Privé Lounge, the Cigar Lounge, members only. So get ready to pull out those wallets if you want to come to this beautiful space yourself and enjoy it. Today we have Alex from Privilege Media, which you all know and love. And we brought back X from XM Cigars, because we actually ran out of camera the last time, so we had to juice the cameras up so we could finish some of these stories, right?
Ran out of time, but thank you for having me again, and thank you, Benny, for having us in this gorgeous new cigar lounge you got. It looks good. He did a great job.
So we know the story of how you started and where you came from, but I felt like this is one that needed a follow-up because it touched on Alex, where he came from, and from you as well. A lot of people smoke cigars and a lot of people drink scotch, but the question is, do people actually know what they're doing?
You know what? It's funny you say that, because once people find out I'm in the cigar business, they go, "Oh, I smoke cigars," and I already know within a matter of milliseconds if they're smokers or not. The first indicator is I go, "Hey, what do you smoke?" 99.9% of the time, they say Romeo and Juliet or Cohiba. As soon as they say that, I know you're not a real smoker. You're just throwing out a brand. Not that there's anything wrong with those brands, but those aren't the brands to go. Two, everybody claims they know what they're doing when they go ahead and light it. And as soon as I see them lighting it, as soon as I see the way they ash it, I already know who's a smoker and who's not the smoker. There's so many variables. But that being said, 90% of the people want to say they smoke, want to act like they smoke. Because remember what I said, cigars are a sign of accomplishment, sign of success, okay, a status quo. So everybody wants to be part of that club. But the reality is not everybody is. This is our master roller. He used to work in the Romeo and Juliet factory in Havana. Now he's here rolling for X. Straight from Cuba.
That look right there, it doesn't get any more gangster than that look right there, dog. It don't get any more gangster than that, bro.
No, he's great. He's actually rolling right now some fresh XMs, Cuban seed, 100% Nicaraguan, with a nice. We have a few wrappers. We have an Habano, Ecuadorian, but that's it.
I think I gotta stop you as a novice listening to some, and I don't want to cut you off, but speaking for someone who doesn't know, that's me. I've been faking it for a long time. This is I just make it look really good, but I don't want to fake it anymore. I want to know what I'm talking about. And you just said it's Cuban, but it's 100% Nicaraguan. How does that work?
Very, very simple.
Why did you say whiskey? Is Scotch whiskey? Well, I know, because when you said that, now you got me. The Scotch and the whiskey part too. We're good. That's why we're doing this today, because we want to leave people understanding exactly what they're talking about. Because you'll have people always say, "I'm smoking cigars. They're Cuban."
Right.
Is that accurate?
Could be partially accurate, and I'll tell you how. All the tobacco that we manufacture and grow is all Cuban seed, but it's grown in Nicaragua. So you get the seeds from Cuba, and you go ahead and plant them in Nicaragua or Dominican Republic or a lot of these other places. From the moment you plant the seed, okay, to the day that tobacco is ready to get harvested, well, the tobacco comes from the seed. It's a tobacco plant. The tobacco plant, from the moment that seed is planted to that plant could even get close to being harvested, which is plucked, take the leaves, all right, takes 9 months. Minimum 9 months. Now, you have to remember, the tobacco plant grows upwards. The newer leaves are towards the top. The older leaves are towards the bottom, all right? The older tobacco is more robust. It's stronger, okay, heavier. The leaves towards the top are more virgin, lighter, not too heavy in nicotine. So if you want to create a strong blend, where are you going to get your tobacco from? What part of the plant? The bottom. The bottom one. That's not the older one, has more nicotine. So if I want to create a strong cigar, I'm going to start harvesting the leaves from the bottom of the plant. If I want to create a lighter cigar, okay, I'm going to go ahead and get leaves from the top of the plant. And that's how you start creating your blends. So if I want a real light cigar for the smoker that only smokes when he's on vacation every once a year, drinking his mojito, I'm going to give him a light cigar. Those leaves are from the top of the plant. If I want something more robust, strong, like a Padron, like a Cohiba, Cuban Cohiba, we're going to get leaves from the bottom of the plant. Okay? And that's how you start creating your blends. Once you go ahead and create the leaves that you're going to get, Then we have to age them. You got to put them in the aging house, which is just it's like a barn. You hang the leaves, they go from a nice green to a nice earthy leather brown. That's when they've aged, okay? It's leather brown. Once we got that, then we go ahead and start rolling the tobacco. Once we start rolling the tobacco, last part of the process is putting on the wrapper. What he's doing right now is he's putting on the wrapper because we already brought what we call la tripa. We call it la tripa, the guts. The guts are here. He's just putting a nice cap on it. And by the way, there's a different tobacco plant from the wrapper than what goes in the la tripa. The difference is the way they burned. The wrapper is what guides that burn of the cigar. Draw technically is how much smoke I get per puff. That's the draw. So all our cigars, we put them in a draw machine. What's a draw machine? It looks like a syringe. You put it in, and it blows air. How easy that air comes in and out signifies how good am I going to smoke that cigar. So you want a good draw. How easy it is to puff.
When you're talking about Cigars 101, is that where you start? Cigars for Dummy. Is your explanation start with the seed?
No. That's too complex. That's like me starting with a grape in the south of France, how to make a wine or a champagne. No, what we start is, in an educational aspect, is if you're not a smoker, I'm going to give you something light. Okay, I give this example to everybody. If you've never had a drink in your life, never had alcohol, what do you think you're going to enjoy more? A single malt scotch aged 25 years or a pina colada or mojito? If you've never had alcohol, what do you think you're going to enjoy more? You're going to enjoy the pina colada or the mojito. It's light, it's refreshing, it's fruity, it's not overpowering to the palate. Once you get deeper into the smoking world or the drinking world, then your palate is going to go stronger. So my introduction for cigars is always go light, go smooth, go easy. Because if you go rough and hard from the beginning, it's not going to be a pleasant ride.
She said.
So I'm curious because I never sat through the presentation. That day that you guys met and Alex watched this beautiful presentation, how does that go? But I kind of want the presentations when it starts. I kind of want Al to go first because I want to relive the presentation. You know what I mean? I want to feel like I was I want to feel like I was in the audience this day. But I'm gonna smoke it. How about that? But if you're gonna set the mood right. Set the mood with the year. When did this happen? I want to know the whole. Set the mood correctly. Where we at and what year is this?
We enter the era of elegance, of education, of gentlemanness. And this is where I met X. At that time, I was giving a prestigious whiskey event tasting 101 with some of the most expensive whiskeys in the world. And upon that encounter, I met X, who did the same thing with cigars, which is kind of what we're doing today. But we're doing it more at a friend level, very relaxed, very casual, right? Clever. So today we're actually sipping a delicious whiskey. I want you to grab your whiskey. Baby, don't if you might, if you may. This is a beautiful Glenlivet 21. And you asked a very interesting question. You said, is a scotch a whiskey? There are 5 major categories of spirits in the world. What are they, X? Vodka, rum, gin, tequila, and beer. Whiskey, no beer. Gin, tequila, whiskey, and cognac. But those are the categories, right? And the whiskey category is very, very, very complicated. There are many different types of whiskeys from around the world that are all different due to their region and the way in which it's made. For example, if you're talking about a scotch, what we're drinking today, in order to be called a scotch, you have to be made in Scotland using 3 major ingredients: malted barley, water, and yeast, aged in an oak barrel in Scotland for a minimum of 3 years old. So in order to call yourself a scotch like the Glenlivet, the Balvenie, the Macallan, Royal Salute, Chivas Regal, those are the specific criteria. But scotch is just one category of whiskey, right? So what's America's whiskey called? Bourbon, exactly. And in order to be called an American whiskey or a bourbon, you have to be made in the United States using corn as your major grain, and you have to be aged in a virgin oak cask, meaning the wood that they make the cask, they could not have held any other liquid previously to that specific whiskey aging in those barrels. Then you have Japanese whiskey. It has to be made in Japan with their specific criteria. You have Irish whiskey, which is in Ireland, triple distilled in oak barrel for a minimum of 3 years in Ireland. So that's so many different categories. When you say Scotch, you're talking about Prince Scotland. You're talking about one specific type. Usually, Scotch is known as a very smoky whiskey. So when you drink it, you get that reminiscence of smoke. But today, since we're just talking casual, I want to talk about just like you pick up a cigar or your friend picks you a cigar. Each cigar has its own unique flavor and attitude and character, right? You got XM cigars. That's right. Is your cigars the same as everyone else? Oh, totally different. Totally different. Actually delicious and amazing. May I? Yeah, he's. Thank you. So, with every cigar that you taste, you just did that one, you learn something new and it's awesome, right? It's a process. And the more knowledge and education you know about it, the more official you feel because, hey, I know about this scotch that I'm about to drink. I learned that. I know how to accept these flavors. And that's what we're going to do today with, we're going to get to know our whiskey one-on-one, right? So just like when you go to a bar, if you see a beautiful girl at the bar, you don't just go up to her and make out with her, right? That's like this beautiful 21-year-old. This has been in the barrel, maturing for 21 years. This is amazing and fantastic. This 21-year-old actually is unique. This was aged export pipes and cognac barrels. So we're having barrels that had cognac in them. We empty the liquid, we char them, and then we put our whiskey in that barrel. So as it's aging in a barrel that had cognac, now we're getting some reminiscent flavors of cognac into the whiskey, but it's into the scotch, but it's not actual cognac. But we had some of that flavor. So we don't go grab her and make out with her, right? So we're going to do getting to know your whiskey. I want you to grab your glass, Jane. 4 things that you need to know, definitely. First thing you always want to look at is the color. The color is an indication of how long it's been in that barrel. Usually when you see a bourbon, Jay, it's almost light yellow, right? Because that wood that they use to age it is an oak virgin cask. No other wood was in there. This is a deep amber gold coat. So this is more like, hey, this has been there for a while. We know this whiskey's 21 years, so it has some type of, some oomph to it. We're going to take a nose of the whiskey. Usually people put their nose in there and they're like, oh, this is strong whiskey. This is 40% alcohol by volume. Wine is 14% alcohol by volume. So when you see someone take a wine glass and they turn it, they're trying to get that aroma out. You don't need to do that with scotch. The minute you pour it in the bottom, you can smell it from the other side of the room. So the correct way to nose it is to keep your mouth open. Another important thing about the whiskey, always the sash. Let's turn that on a little 45-degree angle and turn it over. This is a beautiful glass. Usually you would drink it in a Glencairn glass, but you can see on the end, it sticks to the glass. That's called viscosity. That means that, hey, this is 40% alcohol by volume. It almost looks silky and it looks viscous, silky smooth. This is a time capsule. This is whiskey in an age for 21 years. So we're going to take a little bit on our palate. We're going to hold it here. We're going to just turn our head and let it kind of simmer there. We're not swishing at all. And we're going to turn this way, let it sit, and then swallow it and blow out. No, take a little tiny sip. It's just for the flavor. You're not really drinking. This is art. It starts off fruity and floral. You get caramel influence. We get toffee, butterscotch, and then it's chocolate. And then at the end, you get slight salinity, but then it's super smooth and it goes on your palate.
It feels like it got thicker.
It's like silky.
Where you can feel the caramel when you said that.
And not only that, since we've been smoking cigars, the flavor matches perfectly and it insinuates even those little kind of tannins even more. You mentioned this part of the rolling.
Yes, special. Oh, what's happening right now is very special. Okay, usually when we do our cigar rolling events of our properties, they just put the wrapper on. But what he's doing right now is not the wrapper. He's actually making a cigar from scratch. If you see him right now when he's winding up his hand and tearing, he's tearing the veins out, which are the imperfections on a cigar that you don't want to smoke. You see that? Mm-hmm. And right now, he is actually making that blend I was just talking about earlier on the blend of the lighter leaves, the darker leaves. This is how you create a blend. This is where the artwork comes in. Because putting a wrapper is easy. But he is right now making the cigar.
He's scratch. Yeah, he basically he's like a master blender.
He is now making the filler, the binder, and then he's going to end up wrapping it. But this is original. What you guys are seeing now is originally how it starts. Okay, this is what they do in the factories. Okay, as soon as it's already aged, this is it. And you're going to notice the craftsmanship that goes into this. And one of the very unique things is you could roll a real nice, great cigar with great tobacco, but it might not smoke well. And look, then he puts them in there. We keep them in the press. And that is how the tripa of the cigar.
So it takes the time to humidify.
Oh, no, to shape it. Shape it and get married. Because all those different leaves that we just blended, there's a marriage that goes on there. They're sneaking together. And they're actually becoming one. And that's what we do in that wooded trade he just showed.
Yeah, but honestly, from a 1 to 10, he just learned a little bit about a scotch. You say to a 21-year-old, and you're having an amazing cigar. How does that next to you?
No, right now, I'm going to tell you it's a vibe. Just that little sip, the cigar, what I'm learning. And as we're sitting here and I'm listening to these presentations, I don't even want to interrupt them anymore because I want to hear them out because I have so many questions. And I think it's probably better that I hear the whole thing out because you guys have experience. You guys are experts at this. But I'm coming at it as a guy who's a novice, who doesn't know these things. So that I have questions about the whiskey and I have questions about the cigar. So I want to hear the presentations and let you guys finish doing your thing. And I think it's great you stop whenever there's an important part like this so the viewers can see what he's doing. Because I think a lot of times we'll walk into a place and we'll see a gentleman like this rolling and we don't know what the hell he's doing. It's different than rolling a blunt.
What he's doing right now is called the pigtail. That's called the pigtail. That's not common. All right? Country style. That's another thing about country style.
I think that's what the one I'm on the smoke, right?
All these, you know what? That's exactly what we're going to smoke right now. You know, a lot of people don't know this, but I'm going to give you a little insight. This brand Rocky Patel, okay? All these cigars are box pressed, okay? Square. Box pressed cigars were something that the roofers in the countryside used to smoke. Why did they make it box pressed? Because they would smoke their cigar, roofing, or later cigar down, but it will roll off the roof. They used to tell the cigar rollers, can you make me a square cigar so it doesn't roll? So this whole Rocky Patel box press is a country style thing. It's not a luxurious thing. They've made it luxurious. And God bless Rocky Patel for doing that. But it was something very country for the worksman. That's the box press. Those are one of the things he's doing now. So going back to what Alex was saying about the cask, cigars, you know, they get put in a Spanish cedar humidor. That is a huge, big part of it. And people ask me, why Spanish cedar? Well, it's a beautiful marriage with cedar. Remember, cigars have to be at a certain humidity level, which is the ideal sweet spot. And this is sometimes up for debate, is 73% humidity. Can it go up to 80? Absolutely. Could go as low as 65? Yes. But 73 is that spot. That's the spot where we can now age tobacco, okay? There's tobacco that has left Cuba before Kennedy died that has been aged and preserved and being sold in the United States. So either way, why Spanish cedar? So when you first start treating and putting distilled water in your little humidifier and your little desktop humidor you have in your house, the humidity goes up. And instead of the cigars absorbing that excess humidity, which then they start growing mold, or they expand. And when they absorb that humidity and that tobacco expands, the wrapper pops. So now you just destroyed your cigar by putting too much humidity.
So Jay, similar to cigars, so like I said, we're drinking a 21-year-old, right? So they take that liquid and put it in a barrel, like X just said, and the barrel gets stored for 21 years. When it's in that barrel is wood, and wood is a living organism. It expands and it contracts based on the weather and the temperature, right? So say I put that barrel full of whiskey 21 years ago. When I come back 21 years later, there's only maybe 40% of that whiskey actually there, because the 60% that was in there evaporates through the pores of the wood. They call that the angel share because it evaporated into the angels got to enjoy it. So now I went to a barrel that I put 21 years earlier, and I only have 40% of the actual whiskey that was there. So I lost 60% of it. So now this is why older whiskey or scotch is more expensive. And not only that, now it has character because it was able to mature in that barrel for 21 years. That's why it's more rare and more official, similar to what you said with the timing.
Going back to the Spanish cedar. So when it's bombarded with humidification, the Spanish cedar absorbs that excess humidity. So the cigar doesn't take that stress of absorbing it. Now, when the humidity goes down in the humidor, the cigars need that humidity. Guess what the wood does? It releases that excess humidity absorbed when there was too much. So Spanish cedar makes it a perfect ecosystem for the cigar to be at its best humidification possible. Because, there's some humidors that are very elegant or nice or cheap that they make out of acrylic or they make out of whatever other wood. But that's why you want Spanish cedar. It gives that cigar the perfect environment to be at the perfect humidification. You follow?
Yeah, so do they age cigars too? Like if somebody say, oh, this is a Cohiba from 2020.
Oh, yeah. No. Cigars are aged big time. Because remember, just like everything, think of just when you're just marinating or when you're briming a meat or a poultry. You brine it, those flavors get infused. So when I create that blend that I just told you guys about from the tobacco plant, and I go ahead and I make la tripa, as we say, those cigars, not the cigar, sorry, that tobacco is marrying each other. They're sleeping together every day, every second for 9 months, 3 months, 3 years, 6 years, 7 years. And that's when we start getting into some real heavy aficionado stuff. All right. So, yes, cigars do age big time.
So what do you think, Jay? You got a nice presentation and knowledge of cigars and whiskey in this session?
So now we're doing the Q&A?
Yeah.
Okay, so now some questions. So you were talking about the cedar and the aging. If I want to go somewhere and I want to impress and I want to show people I know what I'm talking about, should I ask for an aged cigar?
No. Not every aged cigar is good. But you definitely
Ask for XM cigar.
You want to ask for an XM cigar, number one. Yeah. But remember what I said.
Where do people find XM cigars?
That's the thing. I don't want to pivot here, but I'm glad you asked. When I first started the company, and people go, "Hey, where can I get your cigar? And they will ask me, do you sell to the public? And I'll say, no. Well, do you sell to retailers? No. And everybody will be like, so where the hell do you sell to? Where can I get your product? And that's why the company is such a niche. You could only find my tobacco in high-end hotels, resorts, casinos, cruise ships, Four Seasons, Ritz-Carlton, Mandarin Oriental, W. You have to go to one of these properties to get my product. It's very exclusive. We only make them in small batches of 2,500. And once that batch is made, it's done. So you have to go to a Faena, Four Seasons, Waldorf Astoria, Vegas. We only have them at the Venetian and the Palazzo right now. Those are the only places you could grab our cigars. So we don't sell to the public. We don't sell them at retailers. We only sell them in exclusive high-end properties. That's really good.
Now you're making me think, because on the gram it says if you smoke a cigar and get cold, take a cold shower, it spikes up your endorphins higher than Coke. Is that true? Have you tried it?
Yes, it's well. I smoked the. Well, this is debatable. I have a story in Medellin, but I think we talk about it now. But no.
And then, so then age. So we're gonna talk about aging. So Alex, aging with the scotch. What's the perfect match? So for the cigar and the scotch.
The perfect match is who you smoke it with. You can have the most expensive bottle of scotch that no one has ever was able to get their hands on, and who are you gonna smoke it with? By yourself or with your amazing friends that you enjoy it forever? But however, like you said, yes, with age you get more exclusivity and you get more matured, robust, perfect scotches with the age. Yes.
But I think you're right. I think your company and who you spend your time with is very important, and the company you keep, who you smoke the cigars with. Because it wouldn't have mattered to me, honestly, if I would have smoked the cheapest cigars and had the cheapest bottle of whiskey
with the best conversations.
I enjoy it with people that I really enjoy my time with. Means everything to me and makes all the work and sacrifice that we put in on a daily basis worth it.
Very, very famous strategy that I use l- early in my career. And it's perfect because it goes hand to hand with the name of your show, South Beach Strategies. I started my business in South Beach. And I remember me going to all my accounts and I would give them all, my elevator pitch. Back then, there was no.
Right now, elevator pitch. What was it? Come on, the real.
Go ahead. No. I would give them my elevator pitch and I'll give them my little portfolio. Either way, I will go to these places and I'll give them my elevator pitch. I'll have my little, not my little portfolio, just like a school project. They used to print out my pages because there were no PDFs and attachments really back then. You had to give them something physical, tangible they could touch. And I would give them my little offer to look at it, and these places will not call me back, like at all, at all, at all, at all, at all, at all. And I would be consistent. I was like that rep that will go to restaurants, and now I get these reps now all the time, and I have a lot of sympathy for them when they come knocking on my door wanting to sell me wine or this or that. I give them the time of day because I was that person at one time. But these people were not listening.
Same here.
And they would not give me, and they'll say, no, he had a family emergency. Come back tomorrow. Come back tomorrow. The crazy thing is that I was so young and hungry that when I would come back tomorrow, and then when they say come back tomorrow, we'll come back tomorrow. And sometimes I'll even show up at a place 15, 20 times. And they'll say, all right, look up. The fuck does this kid want? And it finally will listen to me. But either way, I wanted to not go from that anymore. So one of the strategies that we created, or I created, but I got to give credit to my mother because she helped me out big time. It's called Operation Bonnie and Clyde. So I will go ahead to a property and I will pitch them. I'm going to give you the humidors, cigar cutters, everything, a big 5-star cigar program. I'm not selling you anything, it's strictly consignment. And these people will not call me, but I would give them the pitch and my mother will show up. A day or 2 days later, we printed out these business cards that said Bacardi International. When we put her name on it with her cell phone. And my mom will show up and say, I'm with Bacardi International. I want to throw a big annual gala here, black tie affair, whatever the case is. And they will give her a walkthrough of the property. My mom will say, you know what? I want open bar. I want top shelf. I want a carving station. I want a churrasco station. I want a mojito bar. And they will give her this ridiculous quote of $100, $200, $300,000 party. And they'll send her the quote. Mom goes, looks great. It looks like we're going to go ahead and get this done. And then my mother would drop the bond. Hey, everything looks good, but corporate is asking, do you guys sell cigars on property? Because actually, that's a deal breaker. I just was in that location 2-3 days prior giving you on the proposal. As soon as my mother would say that, my little Motorola Razr will ring. Hey, X, so-and-so from the Raleigh Hotel. How soon can we hit the humidor in here? And that's how I got my humidors in all these places. And you go, well, I wasn't stealing. I wasn't making them buy something. It's all in consignment. All I was doing was lighting a fire under their ass to say, okay, we're going to take your cigar program. And that was called Operation Bonnie and Clyde. I got Nikki Beach that way. I got St. Regis that way. I got a lot of, I don't want to name them all. Yeah, you can't get them again. Is it too late now? He said that I can't get them again. We become very good friends. These guys have been my clients now for years. And not only that, they know my mother. That's the South Beach strategy. And this is how we got 75% of our clients in the very beginning. But there was one client that would not bite. And he's a good friend of mine. I'm very good friends with his brothers. And he goes by the name of Alex Garrett. I know Alex. You know Alex. Worth. Well, the new place now in Coral Gables. Well, Alex Garrett was the main president, big honcho of Nikki Beach. So Alex, I would go ahead and picture him. Him, his team, everybody. They wouldn't bite. They wouldn't bite. So guess when we put into effect Operation Bonnie and Clyde? My mother shows up, walks into Nikki Beach, her Bacardi International business card, gives her a full walkthrough. I want to do the annual gala here, this, that, ba, 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 ba. I call a day or two later. They don't call a day. They're not biting. They're not taking the bait. And I go, I don't understand. I gave them my proposal. Bacardi International just got quoted $120,000, $130,000 party. They need to have cigars. My phone should be ringing any second. And he would not call. And I go, do they not care about the money? This, I wouldn't get it. So my mother and I was 18. We're driving her green Ford Escort. Look, we get to Nikki Beach. My mom gets down and says, hey, we already got approval from corporate to do everything. Just want to do a quick walkthrough, so-and-so. By the way, I'm sitting in the car. She comes back. I've already given this guy 3 proposals. She comes back. We get into the car. We go eat. Back then, there was a restaurant right across the street called Opa. Okay, it's not there no more. And my mom goes, go to the restaurant now. I go, Ma, I was just there. You just came in. It's too much of a coincidence that you said the only way we're going to get approved for this gala is because of cigars. I was just there. She goes, X, I have a gut feeling. Go in now. So my mom, we finished eating at Oba. My mom stays in the car. Little Queen Ford Escort. I get down. I see Alex Guerra. My mom was just talking to him, saying we need cigars an hour ago. This guy looks at me with the best poker face I've ever seen in my life. He goes, hey, so, like if I've never even offered him cigars. And I go, hey, what's going on? He goes, good. I thought he was going to say, hey, I'm glad you came by. The cigars, nothing. And I go, hey, man, were you able to look through my proposal, my thing? And he goes, you know what? Let's pick that humidor now so we can figure it out to put which one we're going to put in Nikki Beach. I've been there 20 times already. Yeah. And I go, all right. And I go, give me 1 second. Let me go get my little portfolio presentation so you can pick out your humidor. He goes, no, I got to leave now. I'll walk you to the car. My mother's in the car. And I go, no. Stay here. I'll bring it right back. He goes, but I got to go. I'll walk you to your car. It's in your truck. Let's go. And I go, no. Just give me a second. I got to use the restroom. So I go use the restroom. I really don't have to use the restroom. I go ahead, but there was horrible reception back then in that bathroom. It's like, go ahead. I grab my phone. Mom goes, hey, how'd it go? And I go, Ma, get out of the car, Ma. Get out of the car. And the call dropped. And I walk out of the bathroom. I go, God, please, I hope she got that. And I asked her, and as I'm walking with Alex Guerra, the president, we're walking towards my mom's green Ford Escort. And I look, and she's not in the car. She got out. So I open up my trunk. I show him. I go, you know what? I think this is the humidor we're going to get. As soon as he said that, I'd hear, Xavier Marufo? And it's my mother's voice. And I look up, and it's my mom. And she goes, Alex, this is Xavier Marufo. The guy does all our cigars for Bacardi. This is the guy I've been telling you about. And I'm like, and he goes, yeah, we're picking up the humidor right now, as a matter of fact. And that is how I got Nikki Beach. And does Alex follow this for Operation Bonnie and Clyde. Alex did not know that story.
And always make sure you marinate your wood.
Marinate your wood. Yeah, put it in the right box. All right, good.
And always make sure you marinate your wood.
Make sure that you put it in the right box.
In the right box.
We wrapped it.
Hey, yeah. All right.